So the Sicha that we're about to learn has a very well-known Vart. There's a Maggid Vart towards the end of the Sicha where the Rebbe talks about Avedas HaShlichus, and there's a gewaldige Vart that the Rebbe says in this Sicha, which you don't have, I think, in any other place. But in order to get to that, the point of the Sicha, the jewel of the Sicha, so we have to learn the whole Sicha to move on. B'chlalos, it's a Rashi Sicha, Roiv of the Sicha, and then the Rebbe takes it like always, the Yena Shal Teira, and a very geschmack of word that we'll come to over here in the end of the Sicha. Shalom Aleichem, let's start from the beginning. In heintige Sedre wird erzählt, wie Avram Avinu hat angesagt Eliezer Avdei. So in this week's Parsha, we learn about the fact that Avram Avinu tells his servant Eliezer, El Arzi vel meladeti telech v'lakachta isha levni liyitzchak. Go to my land, to my birthplace, and there you will take a wife for my son Yitzchak. And if Shailas Eliezer, so Eliezer asks Avram Avinu, Ulai leiseva ha'isha leleches acharoi ala oretz hazais. Maybe the woman will not want to follow me to Eretz Yisrael. Ha'hashiv ashav es bincha goymer. Should I take your son Yitzchak to that land? Hat Avram geantwortet, so Avram answers him, Hisham melacha pentoshiv, that be careful, do not take my son there. Hashem goymer, yishlach malach lefanecha, the Eibishter will send a malach in front of you, v'lakachta isha levni misham. And you will be successful in taking a wife for my son from there. Weiter in the Sedre, further on in the Parsha, wo es wird erzählt, wie Eliezer hat far Besuel and Ibi gesagt, die Rede von Avram and zu him, where the Torah tells us that Eliezer shared the words of Avram with Besuel. So there the Torah says, steht, Vayomer Avram Elai, Hashem asher goymer yishlach malachai itcha, that here Eliezer says that Avram told me that Hashem will send a malach along with me, v'etzliach darkecha, and he will make your way successful, v'lakachta isha levni mimishpachti v'gaymer, and you will take a wife for my son from my family. Darf man verstehen, so the Rebbe asks the following question. Favos hat Eliezer mishane gewen von Lashon Avram? Why did Eliezer change from the wording that Avram actually told him? Und anstatt yishlach malachi lefanecha, and instead of saying what Avram told him, that Hashem will send a malach ahead of you, in front of you, hat gesagt, yishlach malachi itcha, that Hashem will send a malach along with you, to go along with you, not ahead of you. So why is he changing the wording that Avram Avinu tells him? Can it verämpfern? So you cannot answer this question, as das is nit mer wie a shinu in Lashon. The difference between these two words, whether it's lefanecha or itcha, is just a difference in the exact wording, the terminology used. Was beit nit dem teichen, but it does not change the content of the words that Avram told him. Und wie mir seht, as in die Psukim sind da, kama v'kama shinuye lashon. As we see here, and you look in these Psukim, when Eliezer repeats the words that Avram told him, there's more than one instance where Eliezer changes the exact wording that Avram told him. Wie hat ibe gesagt, divrei Avram, legabe divrei Avram atzmai, comparing what he's repeating from what Avram told him to what Avram actually said. So there are other changes. So maybe this is also just a slight change in the actual wording, but it doesn't change the content of what Avram said. So the Rebbe says that's not the case. Because earlier on in an earlier parsha is Rashi b'Pirusha al Torah stellt sich auf ein ähnliches Shinui und erklärt him. In an earlier parsha, so Rashi stops on a similar change of wording, like we're discussing here, and there Rashi explains it. It's in Mevayer, and Rashi there explains, Es holikim es halach Noach. By Noach it uses the term that Hashem walked along with Noach. Es. And by Avram it says, Asher salachti lefonov, that Hashem says that I walk ahead of him. And that Rashi says, Noach hayetzorich sad letoimchai, that Noach needed support. He needed a support, and therefore the Eibishter walks along with him. Aval Avram hayemischazik umahalech betzitkai me'elach. Avram Avinu, however, was walking ahead because Avram Avinu was able to stand on his own, strong with his righteousness, and he did not need the support of the Eibishter. So, is the fun mochach, the fact that Rashi addresses the change of the wording es versus lefanov, so from this it's clear, as the shinui from es and lefanov is a chilek and teichen. The difference between these two words is not just a choice of words, but it actually changes the content of the meaning of the pasuk. Just like over here we're discussing es and lefanov, it's the same thing that we're discussing over here between itcha and lefanecha. Which needs an explanation also in Pshat, since Rashi addresses it there regarding Noach versus Avram. Is lefizet nit move on. If so, the question over here is, Favos stellt sich nit Rashi be Parshas. So why does Rashi not stop over here in this parsha of dem shinui zwischen lefanecha and itcha? Regarding this difference between lefanecha, which Avram said, and itcha, which Eliezer said. So we must conclude from this. As nachdem wie Rashi hat schon früher meweige the Chilek zwischen die zwei Lashonos, after Rashi explained the difference between these two terminologies, und dem Tam HaShini, and the reason why the Torah makes the change, is learning the Sicha Beis Parshas, so learning the story in this week's Parsha, is shein muvan me'elov, itself understood, der Tam for was Eliezer hat meshane gewen von Divrei Avram, while Eliezer switched the wording from what Avram actually said. So Rashi doesn't have to explain it again, because if you take what Rashi said earlier, we'll understand on our own the reason for the difference between the wording that Avram used and the wording that Eliezer used. So the explanation that could be said in this is as follows. The chiluk in taich v'teichen zwischen itcha and lefanecha, the difference in the translation and the content of the word itcha or lefanecha is pshutin k'mashmon, is very simple in the simple translation of the words. Itcha meant mit dir. The word itcha means along with you. On lefanecha, on the other hand, the word lefanecha means far dir, ahead of you or in advance of you. Das heißt, which would mean, Yishlach malachi itcha meint, using the expression that Hashem will send a malach along with you would mean, as the malach that gained zusammen mit Eliezer, that the malach is going to come along together with Eliezer, und ihm helfen durchführen die Shlichus hatzlacha, to assist him in fulfilling his mission with success. And in the language that Rashi himself says, in the words of Rashi before regarding Noach, Sad le a support to help him, to support him in his Aveda by Noach. And over here as well, the malach will be there along with Eliezer to support him along the way in order to fulfill his shlichus to go get a wife for Yitzchak. Which is not the case with using the expression that the Eibishter will send the malach ahead of you means, so that what that would mean is, as the malach that gain for us, that the malach is going in advance, he's coming ahead of you, he's paving the way for you, und farzicherin, and he will make sure from frier, from in advance, the hatzlacha from Eliezer's shlichus, that Eliezer's shlichus should be with a success. So he's not coming along with you, but he's actually going ahead of you. So what's the actual difference between these two? Was das is a chiluk ikri in oifen ha'pu'ule v'hatzlacha. This is a huge difference. This is a very fundamental difference in the actual the way the pu'ula is being done and the success of the actions that Eliezer will be taking. In the ersten Fall, looking at it in the first case, if you use the expression of itcha, is there ikir, so the primary focus here is the pu'ulis ha'ishtadlus mitzad Eliezer. Whatever actions, whatever effort Eliezer himself is putting into it. Nor the malach v'tzugeben asiyua sad l'toimchay, the malach is just adding an assistance, he's there to support him, as eine shtadlus o matzliach sein, that whatever effort and whatever actions he's taking on his own should be successful. But the point is that we're relying on Eliezer to get the job done. It's up to him, and the focus is that he has to make the efforts to get the job done. But the malach will be there along with him, that whatever he does should be successful. On the other hand, using the expression of Yishlach malach lefanecha, that the malach is going ahead of you, so what that means is, as the malach vet nit nor mesayea sein, the malach is not only there to support him, in der Stadlis, to support and to be there with whatever effort he's investing, so the malach is there as a support. Nor rather, great zitzu, He prepares it, versichert, and he assures the hatzlacha von hishtadlus Eliezer from Farais. He assures the success of whatever hishtadlus, whatever effort Eliezer is investing in advance, that Eliezer will not have to do anything. That basically, not that he won't have to do anything, but whatever he's going to be doing, the success will be assured in advance before he gets anything done. So the hatzlacha that Avram is telling Eliezer with the expression of lefanecha is on a completely different level. It's something that's in advance, that it's going to be taken care of before he even comes to do anything, to make any effort. Und das ist Avram given Eisen. So this was the intention of Avram mit sein Sagen Yishlach malach lefanecha. That Avram Avinu uses the expression that the malach will go ahead of you. Meaning, as the hatzlacha von Eliezer b'shlichusai, the success of Eliezer with his shlichus, soll sein in an Eifen should be in such a manner as the Eibishter bavorint melachatchila, that the Eibishter takes care of it in advance. As the Zach soll sich abton karoi, that whatever has to be done, in this case, getting a wife for Yitzchak, should be done properly and swiftly, on Schwierigkeiten, without any difficulties, und azoi is es Tage gewesen. As it actually was, that the malach came and not only was there as a support for Eliezer, but the malach came actually in advance and got everything done for Eliezer, with even before he did what he had to do, even before any effort he made, the malach was there ahead of him. And here the Rebbe is going to point out the different details of what Eliezer actually had to do in his shlichus from the beginning, middle, and the end, where we can see that the malach went ahead of Eliezer. So this includes gleich beim Onib from Mahalacha and Yonim, looking right at the beginning of everything that ensued later. When he arrives to the city Aram Narayim, El Be'era Mayim, to the well of water. Eliezer did not have to wait. Weil v'hine Rivka yaitzes. He sees that Rivka is coming out. She's coming towards the well. Even more so, das ist nicht gewinnt kein Teitzof von Eliezer's Tefillah, the fact that Rivka came out to be there immediately for Eliezer to meet her was not a result of the fact that Eliezer davened. That he davened and he completed his Tefillah. That he completed davening. Varom, the pasuk clearly says, Vayihi hu terem kilo ledaber, even before he finished speaking the words that he was davening, Vihine Rivka yaitzes. And Rivka comes out. Rivka is there for him to meet her. Noch eider, hat verendigt sein Tefillah. Even before he finishes davening, as is milchatchila given, ausgestellt mil maila, it was originally set up from above, as he soll kommen bald nach Eliezer's ankum, that she should arrive in perfect timing. As soon as Eliezer arrives to the well, immediately Rivka should come out and meet Eliezer there without him having to wait. So inside the Sicha here, the words that the Rebbe uses implies that Eliezer began davening and he didn't complete his davening. It wasn't b'shlei Musa, and before he even completes davening, Rivka comes out. So it sort of lends itself to interpret this that it still was to some degree a result of Eliezer's davening. But in the Ha'ara, the Rebbe points out that al pi pshutei shel mikra, the fact that Rivka came out had nothing to do, was not at all a result of the fact that Eliezer was davening. It so happened to be that she came out as Eliezer began davening. But really, Rivka came out because as soon as Eliezer arrived, Hashem had it that she should meet him in the perfect timing. He happened to have started davening right then and there. But she came out in perfect timing, unrelated, not a result of his davening at all. It was completely the malach going ahead of Eliezer, Mulmaila, making the perfect timing that they should meet right then. And this point here is true, Sai mitzad Eliezer. Not only that Rivka comes out in the right time, but also from Eliezer's angle, looking at it from the angle of Eliezer, was wie Rashi sagt, as Rashi says, that Eliezer came to the city, and at that exact moment after Kvitzas Haderech. So Eliezer arrived at that exact moment there, also not by him traveling on his own, investing his own energy and reaching there at that moment. It was also a Kvitzas Haderech that brought him there at that moment. Rivka, and as we said before, also Rivka coming out at that moment, as he is a reis mi beisa, she left her home, ba'ofen, in such a manner, as vayihi hu terem kilo ledaber, even before he completes speaking his words of davening, v'hine Rivka yaitzes geimer, and Rivka is right there. So the Rabbi is showing you that this, when you have a meeting of two individuals, so you have to have them both coming at the right time. So both from Eliezer coming at that point exactly, and Rivka coming at that point exactly, was the Eibusher making them meet at the exact time, and there was the Kfitza Saderech that brought Eliezer there, and the Eibusher brought Rivka there at the exact time. V'yesh loima. The Rebbe adds another point over here, because here we're talking about what it says in the pasuk that v'hine Rivka yaitzes, that Rivka came out. Chayei, you might ask, wait a minute, Eibusher could have made an even greater miracle, because Eliezer did have to wait a few moments for Rivka to actually arrive to the well. He saw her coming out from her house, coming towards the well. But what would have been better, Chayei, would be that if Eliezer comes to the well, and Rivka is standing right over there, and he sees her standing in front of his eyes, right there. So why is it only that Rivka came out, and she didn't arrive, she wasn't already there when he arrived? So the Rebbe addresses this over here. V'yesh loimar, as das was Havaya, the Eibusher had gevad, this that Hashem waited, mit bias Rivka laber, with the arrival of Rivka to the well, biz siyum tfilas Eliezer, until Eliezer completed his tefillah. Right? So she came out when he was in the middle of davening, but she only arrived when he completed davening. Is given not sleep them, that was only for the purpose of as durch dem Simen was hat sich angezeichnet mit Philosophie. Like this, Eliezer continued davening, and in his davening he pointed out to himself a certain sign that he's going to have, that he's going to know who's the right one. Soll kennen wissen that he should know as hi isha shaychiach Hashem leben adayni. This is the right woman that Hashem has clarified that this is the one for my master's son. So to give Eliezer time to gather his thoughts and make a sign for himself to know who's the right one, so delaying Rivka's arrival just a minute or two to allow to allow Eliezer to finish what he's saying, gave him a time to make that sign for himself that he should know clearly that she's the right one. However, ihr etzem kommen, her arrival at the right moment is schon bewarnt geworden. That was already, the Eibusher took care of that. Kanal, as mentioned before, nach eder erot mispale gewen. Even before Eliezer davened, it was taken care of from Hashem. The malach was going ahead of Eliezer, and she arrived in the exact right time. That's regarding the beginning of the shlichus, when he arrives to the city Aram Narayim. And similarly, we see this in the middle of the whole event and all the events that happened over here is Bishas Besuel at Gewalt Ma'akev Zayin dem Shidduch, when Besuel attempted to withhold the Shidduch of taking place, is Ba malach v'himisai. A malach arrived and killed Besuel. And Besuel was not there anymore to prevent anything to take place. So that was right there in the middle. Clearly, a clear intervention of the malach, the clear lashon over here that Rashi says, that the malach intervened and eliminated Besuel. And the same is also true when it comes to the conclusion of everything. Then Eliezer had gewollt as Rivka soll gleich gehen mit him. When Eliezer wants that Rivka should join him immediately without any delay, nit vi acheha vi ima, not like her brothers and her mother. Zenen Bashtanen, they wanted, their wish was, as Teishav and Nairi Tonu Yomim Goimer, that our daughter should remain here. So Eliezer wanted that she should come immediately. So the word Bashtanen, by the way, the exact translation of Bashtanen, I believe, means insisted, that is. That they insisted that she should stay, but Eliezer wanted that she should come immediately. Und der Ruf is given der Enfer, and what was Rivka's response? What was Besuel? Besuel actually was eliminated by them, but what was her mother's response and her brother's response? Nikra l'nayrov v'nishalas piyah. Let's call in Rivka herself and let's ask her what her desire is. Hat Rivka teichev ge'emfert, Rivka immediately answered, Eilech, I'm ready to go. So this in itself, that Rivka gave such a response that she's immediately ready to go, is a tremendous chiddush. Why? Because seemingly, men gefindnet, we do not find in the psukim as Eliezer hat mit ihr frier bechlal geret wegen dem shidduch. That Eliezer ever spoke to her in advance about this whole shidduch. Eliezer didn't say a word to Rivka, anything about this. So when we look in the psukim, Rivka had no advanced knowledge about anything what Eliezer is doing here, who he is, what he wants, and so on. And the Rebbe adds here in the parentheses, it does clearly say, of course, in the pasuk, that he did give her gifts and he gave her jewelry. So that, yes. But he didn't tell her what the purpose of the gifts and the jewelry that he's giving her is for. She had no idea. And the Rebbe in the footnotes gets into a discussion about this Inyan, and the Rebbe says in the footnotes here, although Eliezer, of course, did shear in advance to this question that he's asking Rivka, whether she's interested in following him. Eliezer did shear the whole reason of why he's here and what he wants, and he's looking for a wife, and he wants Rivka to join him. But the Rebbe says that Rivka was not present in any of those conversations. She was not there. She was not in the room at all. And the Rebbe proves it from different angles of the Parsha in the Ha'aris that she was not present at all. She had no prior knowledge to this at all. So think about this. Here's a girl that's pretty young, and a Chanami. She had das already at that point, but she's a 3-year-old girl, and she has no idea what this man wants. All she knows is he must be a very generous and nice individual. He gave her jewelry, and now he calls her into a room. Are you interested in leaving your parents basically forever and joining me? And when are we going? Today. And you're going to go and marry this individual that you never met. And what's her immediate response to that? Yeah, she's ready to go. So this is an unbelievable thing. But Eifin, so the point over here is going back into the Lashon of the Sicha, Eliezer did not discuss with her the Shidduch in advance. But Eifin, as sie soll haben Zeit, auf trachten und hereintrachten in them, to think about it, to contemplate the matter, she had absolutely no time for that. Und afal pikein, and yet, is gleich beim Fragen ihr sie is maskem auf den Shidduch, as soon as she was asked a question, whether she agrees to this Shidduch, hat sie gesagt, Eilich. She immediately answered, yes, I'll go. Und wie Rashi is meisuf from Mefarish, and as Rashi adds and explains, Eilich, what was her intention when she said those words, Eilich, I will go, me'atzmi, I'm ready to go on my own, va'afam enchem reitzim. And even if I don't have the agreement, even if my mother and my brother do not agree, I'm ready to go on my own. So what this means, the Eibishter hat das gemacht, the Eibishter caused it, the Eibishter made it so, as he soll maskim sein, on keine Stadlus mitzad Eliezer, that she should agree to go without any hard work, without any effort that Eliezer had to involve himself in this and persuading her to go. She was ready to go. So you may look at this and think that this is because Rivka was a great tzaddikus and therefore she sensed what she's doing and she knew where she's going to and so on, which could also be true. But over here in this Sicha, that I was explaining it from a different angle. That this was not mitzvah, the mile of Rivka only, and that's not necessarily only that, but it was because of the hatzlacha, of the malach that the Eibishter sent in advance of Eliezer, that paved the way for him in every stage of the way of this process, where Eliezer saw a tremendous success in what he was doing. So now returning to the original question of the Sicha, this change of the wording that Eliezer said, Itcha, when Avram Avinu said, L'fanecha. And now we could also understand why Eliezer hat meshane gewen von divrei Avram. Eliezer changes from what Avram told him and gesagt, Yishlach malacha itcha. And he says, when he repeats to Besuel, that Avram told me that the malach is going to come along with me. Weil bei Besuelen, so the reason here is because when he's speaking to Besuel, he would never accept, it would make no sense to tell him that Avram Avinu told me, Yishlach malachi lefanecha, that a malach has this all done for me in advance, even before I'm doing anything. Why not? When Eliezer is speaking to Besuel, what is he speaking to him for? Because he wants his agreement to allow his daughter to go and get married to Yitzchak. So there's no room to relate to Besuel as Avram hat gesagt, Yishlach malach lefanecha. That my master Avram told me that this is a done deal, that the malach is going ahead of me. Who needs you? I don't need your haskama. The Eibush is taking care of it. It's a contradiction. He's trying to persuade him and tell him that he needs his agreement, that he's going to tell him that it's a done deal, that the malach is going ahead of me. Was badeit kanal, the word lefanecha means as die Sach wird abgetan werden, that the matter is a done thing. Noch kaidem, in advance, Vaad Eliezer kommen und Berlin sei in Stadlos. Even before Eliezer arrives, and even without any of his effort. Because if that's the case, so then Besuel would answer back, So was the ganze Rede? So why are you talking to me? Und masel maten mit him. Why are you discussing this with me? Lidvarecha, if the case is as you claim, that your master says that this is all done and you have a malach that's going ahead of you and it's a done deal, hat doch the malach schon alles abgetan. So it's all done. So when Eliezer is talking to Besuel and he's trying to persuade him to allow his daughter to go, there's no room for him to mention this detail that the malach is going ahead of him. So therefore, at Eliezer gemusst mishane sein und sagen, Yishlach malacha itcha. So therefore, Eliezer had to change the wording and say that the malach is going along with me. Not ahead of me, but along with me. In the Haad, the Rebbe points out that this is not chas v'shalom, that Eliezer is saying something which is a lie, because of course if the malach is going ahead of you, he is going with you as well. He's going with you, and not only with you, he's going with you plus. With you and ahead of you. So saying ahead of you is not considered to be something which is heipach ha'emes. But it is, though, switching from the way the truth is that it was not only with you, it was ahead of you. And as the Rebbe explains, the reason why Eliezer did that. Al pi and al yumtak, and now based on this, it would be very geschmack, noch hashinui b'diburish shel Eliezer. Another thing that Eliezer changed in what he related to Besuel. Anders, wie das es gewesen lemaise, which was different than what he actually did. Gegeben hat Rivka dem Nezev Zavgeimer. What did he actually do? He gave a golden nose ring. Noch eider hat bei ihr gefragt, bas mi'at. Even before he asked her for her identity, for her name, he immediately, when he met her, he gave her jewelry. Bei den Zählen wegen dem zu Besuelen, but when Eliezer relates what happens to Besuel, is wie Rashi sagt, Shina HaSeder. He changed the order of things, and he said that first he asked her her name, and then he gave her the jewelry. Shaleit Vesu b'dvarav, so they shouldn't catch him at his word. V'yayimru, and say to him, Eich nasatola, how do you give her jewelry? V'adayin encha yedea mihi, and you have no idea who she is, so how do you give her jewelry? So here as well he changed. So based on everything that Rebbe said till here, this is very geschmack. You could see why Eliezer made this change. Das was Eliezer hat gegeben Rivka die Matonis, the fact that Eliezer gave these gifts, noch eider hat gewusst mihi, even before he knew, even before he asked her identity, is weil wissendig, knowing, as Avram hat gesagt, Yishlach malach lefanecha, that there's a malach that's going ahead of you. Befrat, and even more specifically, Zendik, he clearly saw himself as Terem Kil Ledaber V'hine Rivka Yates, even before he finishes davening, and Rivka is coming out. Und sie hat sich geführt behessen zum Simen. And even more, he saw that this is a girl that's acting exactly like the sign that he made for himself. Hat schon verstanden, so he already understood und gewusst, and he knew, as das hat der Malach bewahren von Farais, that this is all the work of the Malach, that the Malach is taking care of things in advance. So he was sure that Hashem is making his way be successful, and he doesn't have to ask her identity. This is the one. But then when he relates what happened to Besuel, and he does not mention to Besuel that the malach is going in advance, and instead he switches it to Itcha, that the malach is going along with me, he can't speak about with such a certainty. Bis zu geben ihr die Matonis nach eider weiß me, and to give her the Matonis even before he knows who she is. So therefore, Shina HaSeder, he switched the order of the way he did things. So he shouldn't be caught by his words. How did you give it to her in advance? Rebbe now continues and points out now another chiddush in this inyan. So Bepashtos, Eliezer did not share with Besuel exactly the certainty he had, the malacha that went advance of him that he had. He didn't share that with Besuel. Besuel was no point in sharing it to him. Adarabah, he was trying to persuade Besuel, and therefore he can't tell him that it's a done deal in advance. So the Rebbe says as follows: Afal pi, although as bepashtus ubegolui, simply and in a revealed sense, he did not share this detail that the malach is going ahead of him. He did hint it though, And the Rebbe adds over here, parenthetically, going back to the previous point, b'meila is der shinui noch kleiner, so this minimizes the change he made. So Eliezer is sort of forced to make a change, but he wants to minimize the change of what Avram told him as much as possible. Der mit, so where does he hint it? Der mit was zugelegt, he adds words that Avram never told him. Die Werte, yishlach malach itcha, that a malach is going along with you, v'hitzliach darkecha, and he will make your ways successful. Those words, v'hitzliach darkecha, Avram never said. Welchem gefindet beferish b'divrei Avram? Avram never explicitly said these words. Val derech zeh, when ibedetzel zayn tefillah, also when he relates his davening, he adds more than the lashon that he actually said when he did daven. Hashem im yeshchano matzliach darki. Again, he repeats and uses the expression of matzliach, that Hashem should make my ways successful. He uses the expression of hatzlacha. So the Rabbi here will explain, with using this expression of hatzlacha, he is hinting to the idea that the malach is taking care of things in advance without any of his efforts. Without him doing a thing, the malach is taking care of all of it. The beer in them, the explanation. What's unique about this expression of hatzlacha? The emesa badeit von hatzlacha is the real meaning of the word hatzlacha, success, is as follows. Nit wenn der Mensch is matzliach durch yigia. Doesn't refer to a person that sees success as a result of the effort that he invests, which brings him the natural result of success. That doesn't deserve the expression of success. That's just the result of his hard-earned work. Nor, rather, what is the real meaning of the word hatzlacha? Was der Eibishter gibt den Menschen. This is something that the Eibishter gives a person. You could have two people that are investing the same amount of effort in the same exact thing, in the same exact place, and everything is all the same. One person will come out with a success, and one person will come out with the opposite. And there's nothing that you could point to that one person did differently than the other, but one will have hatzlacha and has mazel, as the Rebbe brings here in one of the Yaharis, that this is the concept of mazel, and one doesn't. So where does this hatzlacha come from? The hatzlacha is purely from the Eibishter. It's purely from the milmaila, it's a bracha from the Eibishter that a person has hatzlacha. That's totally not related with any of the efforts that the person invested. Al derech, the Rebbe brings a raya for this idea from what we find by Yosef. Al derech v'yeshteit by Yosef, v'yehi Hashem es Yosef. That when Yosef was there in the prison, so it says that the Eibishter was there with Yosef. V'yehi ish matzliach, and he was a successful man. Hashem matzliach biyodai. Hashem made everything he did to be successful. V'asher hu eisa Hashem matzliach. Whatever he did, he saw success. So the pasuk keeps on using this term success. Val derech zeh. Similar, hat Eliezer madgish given. Eliezer is also using this expression, v'Hashem etzliach darki, that Hashem made my way successful. So just like by Yosef, it's obvious that he experienced a supernatural success being there in prison, and the Eibishter is the only source of his hatzlacha. It wasn't any of his own doing. The same is also here. V'Hashem etzliach darki is purely something that comes from above, and the actions of the person have absolutely nothing to do with that success. The Rabbi adds here a deeper point. We can add another deeper point there. As das is mer, the expression of hatzlacha is even more wie der Auftu von Yagaiti u'matzasi, than the expression that Chazal say, Yagaiti, I invest, I toil, u'matzasi, and I discover, and I find. Because that expression, Yagaiti u'matzasi, also means that a person discovers something that's beyond his investment. As the Rebbe says here, the afal pi, although even in that expression of Yagaiti u'matzasi, as their matzasi is shaloi lifi erech hayegia, what the person finds, what the person discovers, is beyond anything that he invested in, right? Because the Rebbe would always ask, why does it say Yagaiti u'matzasi? The expression should have been, in the right wording of this statement, should have been Yagaiti, I invest, I work hard, v'hisakti, and I reached, and I accomplished, and I came to something based on my work. Why does it say matzasi, which means that I found it? Like when you find a lost item, which just out of the blue, you find it. So Chazal used the expression of matzasi means that it's beyond anything that you invested. Kediyah kalashim matzasi. As the exact wording, the meaning of the word matzasi means loshe mitzia, that it's a lost object that you find. Al derech via mitzia was kum beli ishtadlos, like when a person finds a lost object without any effort. Nit mer vide tircha chimuetes is just a tiny effort that he needs to do for neifayim the mitzia, lifting up the mitzia off the ground. But otherwise, the person is not making any effort on his own. So over there, even by the lashon of yagaiti umatzasi, the mitzia is beyond the person's investment. Von des wegen. However, the Rebbe says that cannot be compared to the expression of hatzlacha. Is there yagaiti mamshich umachriach der matzasi. When a person invests and he puts in the hard work, the yagaiti, the toil, when a person is investing in it, that itself generates and sort of forces, it brings about this response which is disproportionate, but the disproportionate response is still a result of the fact that the person invested this, right? The way this is explained in other places is that when a person, the real concept of yigia is when a person does something out of his ordinary, something which is beyond his normal habits. He breaks himself, he goes against his nature. So because the person does something against his nature, so therefore the Eibishter will respond to him disproportionately beyond any natural means. Okay, so therefore it says the term matzasi. But in the end of the day, that response of matzasi is a result of the fact that the person invested also going out of his norm, and therefore the Eibishter responds in that way. Which is not the case when it comes to the expression of hatzlacha mitis. The real accurate interpretation of the concept of hatzlacha is nit verbunden mit avedas ha'adam. It's not at all related to anything the person is doing on any level, whether in his norms, out of his norms. It's not related to what the person is doing at all. It's purely a gift from above that the person gets a hatzlacha in what he's doing from the Eibishter. And the Rebbe, as I mentioned before, brings in the ha'ara. There's a mazel. There's a concept of sharei hatzlacha. There's a gate of hatzlacha that a person could be zeicha to, which is totally a gift from above. So kommt lefi zeh. So according to this, it comes out as the Esafe von Yishlach Malachi Itcha v'hitzliach darkecha. When Eliezer adds that the malach will be going along with me and he will make my way successful, using the term hitzliach, trockten sich demselben Teichen. It includes the same content wie Yishlach Malachi lefanecha, like what Avram said that the malach is going ahead of me. Weil der Inyan von hatzlacha, the idea of hatzlacha is when das kommt b'derech matana mulmayla, when it comes as a gift from above, that the malach is not just there assisting you, but he's going ahead of you even before you do anything. So Eliezer hinted the lefanecha by using the term hatzlacha. Und therefore b'shas Eliezer hat gebracht for Besuel. When Eliezer expressed this to Besuel, that when he davened and asked that the Eibishter should make my way successful, his nismal geworden was fulfilled. And he also shares with Besuel that even before I finished davening, Rivka is there, she came out, hat Besuel gleich gesagt, so Besuel immediately said, May Hashem yotza davar. He reluctantly had to admit that this is the matter is done from Hashem. It came out from Hashem. We can't speak to you anything negative or positive about this. This is something done from above. This is azach was tut sich up in ganzem ulmaylo. This is something that's being done from above. B'derech hatzlacha. It's something which is there's a success in this. Azoi to such an extent as a ben adam can ended. A human being cannot make any changes to Hashem's plan. So the Rebbe sort of here is pulling this a little bit in the opposite direction of what he said earlier. So there's sort of two opposites going on over here. On one hand, Eliezer is speaking to Besuel, logically trying to persuade him, talking to him that he should allow his daughter to marry Yitzchak and so on. At the same time, though, Eliezer is very careful to put in the wording and to relate the story in a way that Besuel should realize that really this is a done deal. So this is sort of a balance that Eliezer is doing here in talking to Besuel. Speaking to him logically on one hand, but at the same time making sure that Besuel will get the message that this is Hashem's plan and there's nothing that can be changed about this. Al Pizes, now based on this, wird man euch verstehen an Inyan Tamu alachayre b'divrei Avraham. We'll understand something which would be very difficult to understand otherwise, seemingly, in the words of Avraham. B'shas Eliezer hat gefragt. When Eliezer asked the question, Ulai lo'seiva ha'isha l'leches acharoi. Maybe the woman will not want to follow me. Hat Avraham im geantwortet. So Avraham responds, Hishamar l'cha gaimer, be careful, Hashem l'kei hashemayim, Hashem the God of heaven, Yishlach malach lefanecha, will send a malach ahead of you. V'lakachta isha levni misham, you will take a wife for my son from there. Der Eibishter wird schicken a malach, the Eibishter will send a malach, ubemele is im maftiach. And Avraham Avinu is promising him. V'lakachta is sort of promising him. It's promising him. V'lakachta isha levni misham, you will take a wife for my son from there. Is nit verstandig. So the question here is, wie can Avraham versichern Eliezerin v'lakachta isha levni misham? How could Avraham assure Eliezer that you will take a wife from my son from there? B'shas das is talui b'ritzayna b'bchirasa shel isha. In the end of the day, there's another human being here, which has her own will and her own choice. She has bechira. She can choose if she wants to go or not. Befrat, as Avraham ba'atzmai, Avraham himself immediately says afterwards, hat gleich mamshach given, v'im lo yisayva isha lechas acharecha, and what's if the woman does not want to follow you? V'nikisa mishvasi zais, and then you will be clean, you'll be exempt of this shvua that I'm making with you, that you don't take my son there, but you bring the woman here. So there's sort of a contradiction here. On one hand, Avraham is promising that she will follow you. At the same time, Avraham himself says, and if she doesn't follow you, so then you're exempt. So what's going on over here? That's besides, obviously, the main question here. You could never be certain about something if there's another person involved that has his own bechira chavshis. So how could Avraham Avinu be so certain? No, but based on what we said before, da is der Oiftu von Yishlach malach lefanecha. Here there's a unique accomplishment, a unique idea of the malach that's going ahead of Eliezer. As das nimmt sich von Aza Ort. So on a deeper level, or to understand this more accurately, what this means is that what's happening here is das nimmt sich von Aza Ort. The malach comes from such a level, from such a place, which is totally higher, before, totally beyond anything that Eliezer is doing. Completely higher of any efforts that the person is doing, and therefore not only Eliezer's own efforts, it's totally above and beyond any human intervention at all. So therefore is the hatzlacha in them, the success of this, von der Eibishter success here, nit tluya in der Estadlus von meiste bnei Adam. It's not at all dependent on any of the work or the effort of any human being. And the same is also true on the other hand, as the Ratzon von ben Adam can nit stellen in der hatzlacha. There's no will, no choice of any human being that could intervene and could prevent the success of this. Because this is a hatzlacha that comes from a place that's beyond human intervention. It's not based on human action, and it's not prone to any human intervention. It's something that comes from a completely different place, which is totally happening. It's the Eibishter's plan, which is happening from his perspective, from his joy, from the Eibishter deciding that this is what's going to happen. So nobody could disturb Hashem's plan. And therefore, Avraham Avinu could be certain that this will happen. On the Rebbe, so therefore, although nobody takes away her bechira, there still is the free choice. Technically, there is the free choice that Rivka does have, and she could technically decide not to join him. So there is the possibility that she should not join Eliezer. Im kol zeh, however, is abebarer. It's clear, it's definite, as bepoil vetzach opton der inyan, that when it comes down to it, it will get done. That v'lakachta isha levni misham, you will take a wife for my son from there. As vetzach gefinnen an isha, you will find a woman v'lachavet beiche sein tzegei mit Eliezer. You will find a woman that will choose to go along with Eliezer. So this paragraph here is a little bit difficult to understand, because in the end of the day, if we're not taking away her bechira, so if the bechira is there, you can't be 100% sure. On the other hand, the Rebbe is saying that no human intervention could change this, and therefore Avraham Avinu is 100% sure. So how does that work with not taking away her bechira? So from the Maramekaimis that you have in the Ha'adas here, in Order 44 and Order 45, the Rebbe seems to be pointing to two different pshatim that it's possible to say over here in the pshat in this paragraph. One that Rebbe brings from the Rambam, Benegay to the Gzeira by Mitzrayim, the Gamas that the Mitzrayim were supposed to make the Yidden work hard. That was part of the Bris Bein Absarim. However, no individual Mitzri could ever say that that's my job. I'm the one that's fulfilling that decree of Avraham Avinu, because the decree wasn't regarding any individual Mitzri. So therefore, every individual Mitzri is punished for the fact that he made a Yid work hard. So the Rebbe L'Chaira is implying that the same is over here. Avraham is assuring Eliezer that you'll come back with a wife from Aram Naharaim. But he didn't tell him which woman that will be. He was assuring him that there will be somebody. Okay, so any individual woman could refuse to go, but Avraham Avinu is assuring him that there will be somebody. That's what the Rebbe is pointing to. Then the Rebbe points to a chidah, which it seems like the Rebbe is saying that even if it's true that she has bechira, but the chidah there says that Eliezer was so sure with the Sichos of Avraham Avinu that Avraham Avinu knew what she's going to choose, so to speak. Avraham, of course, there is her bechira, but the Sichos of Avraham is so powerful that he was absolutely sure that she will choose it. It is her bechira; she's choosing it. But Avraham knows in advance, and this hamshacha mumayla, this koyach mumayla, is so powerful that this is what she will eventually choose. So therefore, in the end of the day, even if it is her choice, but there's nothing that could intervene because the Eibish's koyach makes it sure that the plan will go through, and she will choose this. That's what it comes out from the Ha'aras. There's more to be said about this, but that's the simple pshat. Rebbe continues, as das is euch eine von den Biurim in the Maimach Chazal, we can give, according to this, another explanation in the Maimach Chazal, Yofes Yichosan Shal Avdei Avos Miteirasan Shal Banim. The conversation of the servants of the Avos is more beautiful than the Torah of the children, the Torah of the Yidden. And while, so the reason for this is, when it comes to the Torah of the Yidden, is da der klal. There's the rule. As hakol b'dei shamayim chutz miyireh shamayim. Everything is in the hands of heaven, besides the fulfillment of Torah and mitzvahs, besides yireh shamayim. That's totally in every individual. When it gets to Torah and mitzvahs, wird nicht zugenommen von Menschen der Minyan HaBechira. The Eibusher does not take away your own free choice. You're going to have to do it, choose to do it, and do it on your own. That's when it comes to Torah. So Torah comes from such a level where the person is teifes makim, and he has to choose to do it on his own, so to speak. Mashe'en ken b'shlichus Eliezer, which is not the case when it comes to the shlichus of Eliezer, is given the anhage von Yishlach Malacha Lufanecha, that the malach is coming in advance, and an eifel from v'yitzliach darkecha. And this is hatzlacha that comes totally from above. The hatzlacha is given for Sicha, the success was totally assured, mulmaila from above. Afile dort wo das riert on dem inyan bechira, even so much so that it sort of affects the bechira, that even the bechira of Rivka cannot derail Hashem's plan. That's how powerful this story of Eliezer going to get Rivka as a wife. So the Sichos on Shalav the Yovis, the conversation of Eliezer about this story draws from a higher place than the Torah, that over there a person has to make his own effort. However, for a person to actually be able to access such a great kind of a bracha, such a great kind of hatzlacha, there are two conditions for this. Aleph, number one, is Zayin Avdei Avis. You have to be a servant. You have to be an Eved. An Eved was his nit kemitzias b'fnei atzmai klal. An Eved does not have an entity of his own at all. And the Rebbe immediately qualifies what that means. Hota metzias, he exists, he's here. When a metzias was tutoif of afile gedeilis v'chulu, he exists and he has an entity and he accomplishes great things. Aber kol mitziyusai is the metzias adon. Everything he accomplishes, everything he has, all is not him. It all belongs and all belongs to the master. Mashakana Eved, Kana Rabbi. Like the halach is regarding an Eved, that whatever he possesses belongs to his master. That's one condition. The absolute bittul, understanding that you are an Eved. You're not an entity for yourself. Und Beis, man also another thing, dazu darf sein der Inyan Sicha. Another detail is the concept of Sicha. What does Sicha mean? Ein Sicha el tefillah. Sicha, which literally means a conversation, means the conversation of davening to speak to Hashem, which means, more broadly, the hakara berura, the clear recognition. As mekenzich nit verlassen of the eigene keiches, that a person cannot rely on his own keiches. Even a person that knows his identity and understands that he's an eved, and therefore he's totally dedicated to his master, however, he could still have the attitude that he relies on his own talents, on his own keiches to get whatever he has to get done for his master. So the second ingredient is that he has to realize that he cannot rely on any of his own keiches. To have success in anything you do, you have to rely on daven to Hashem. If a person has the absolute bittul, is menakeli, then you make yourself a vessel to the ranhage von yishlach malachi lufanecha v'lakachta, that the malach goes ahead of you, b'derech hatzlacha, that you have the hatzlacha of the Eibishter, that it comes all from above, and nobody could intervene with the fulfillment of the plan. The Rebbe continues, so now although Sichos shalav the Ovis, the conversation of Avdi Ovis, this whole story here in this week's Parsha, is hechel from Torah and Shalbanim, is higher than the Torah Bechlal, than the Torah that was given to the Yidden. Is aber euch Sichos and Shal Avdi Ovis reingestellt in Torah and Shalbanim. This whole conversation and this whole story, of course, is being related in Torah itself. It says a Parsha Shleime b'Torah Son. It's a full Parsha that's related in Torah. So this story itself is included in Parsha. Was der Fun Guf ist verstandig. So from this itself we understand. As euch die Bonim kennen the Griechen die Meile von Werden of the Ovis, that the Yidden learning the Torah could reach this level of being on the level of Eliezer, being an Eved of the Ovis. Und das ist euch die Heira, und das ist die Heira bepeil, was man nimmt Reis von Parshas shel Eliezer. So this is the actual Heira, the instruction that we take out of this Parsha of Eliezer. Ubemiyuchad, and this is especially applicable for die, weil haben Zeiche gewähnt, so eisig sein, b'shlichuson shel ha'ovis, shebachol, der v'der, those that have the merit to occupy their time with the in the shlichus of the ovis of every generation, which are Rabbi saying in the Sienu, on being on the Rebbe's shlichus. In the Aveda von Achzakas Hayados, Varbatzas HaTeire, whether strengthening Yiddishkeit, spreading Teire, Kail Yefutzah Menesecha Chutza, including also spreading Chassidus outward. As an Farana Zelicha Vesmeina. There are those that think, as the Dozeke Shlichus besteht, blois in dem Ton, that the Shlichus of the Rebbe is just, what lies upon you is just to do what you can. The outcome, what it's going to accomplish, that's not up to you. Again, I'm sorry. You're not in control of that. That's not up to you. You can't change that. So there's the famous expression that said that our Aved is ton und nicht Eifton. The Eifton, that's the Eibishter. We do what we can. And that the Eifton, that's in the Eibishter's hands. That's what many people think. And in other places it actually says so befedish that is the case. The Shliach is masking, the Shliach agrees, as darf sein übergegeben zu dem Shlichus b'chol koicha. He has to be dedicated to the Shlichus with all of his might. Bis rotten came to the point that he has absolutely no peace. He can't sit on his laurels and peacefully and tranquilly and not do every moment what he has to. Not him, not the people, his children in his house. Zaindik torot kol ayayim b'milia Shlichus, because he's being that he's constantly preoccupied with fulfilling his shlichus every single moment. So that he's ready for. To do his shlichus every single moment, to do and do and do, that yet. Aber if dem zweiten, but of course the shlichus is about being makar of another person, or wenn sucht mashpia sein on whom he wants to influence, is it kein balabayas. He has no control over another person. Jener is a balbechir, and the other person has his own free choice, and you can't force him to act opposite of his choice. So over here, there's the unbelievable lesson that you take from this Parsha of Eliezer. As b'shas m'shtelt sich herein in a matzah von Avdei Ovis. If you place yourself, if you enter into this new condition, that you become an eved, a bittul mikol v'kol, that you're operating with an absolute bittul, wie an eved la'adonai, as an eved is dedicated to his master. Und dazu, and in addition,
is men mispal HaKadosh Baruch Hu of hatzlacha b'milish lichusay. You daven to Hashem to give you success in your shlichus, realizing that it's not in your hands. Is men muftach as Hashem yishlach malach lefanechem v'tzliach darkecha. You are assured that Hashem will bring you the success. The Eibishter verzichetem hatzlacha b'shlichusay. The Eibishter assures you that you will see shlichus, you will see hatzlacha in your shlichus. So even the oiftan, even the accomplishing, is really up to you in the end of the day. If you have the full bittul, the hatzlacha will be there. Ubemeshach the ganze shlichus, and that includes every part of your shlichus. Sai b'alichasai, going on the way going. Sai b'makom shlichus gufa, being there, and sai umkerendig sich from makom shlichus, returning from your place. Haprat hamasuyim hazeh shabbos. So the Rebbe just clarifies that it doesn't mean that the person returns from the shlichus altogether, but whatever individual project or undertaking he's involved in, when he concludes it, when he returns from it, on the conclusion will be v'lakachta isha, and we will take a wife, zu knesses Yisrael, which we know, of course, that the wife is a metaphor for Yidden, umekert ir li isha, and we return the wife to her husband, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is the Eibishter, durch ma'ire zayin noch ha'yidin, und noch ha'yidin, by awakening another Jew, and to make illuminate his life, bis zamachu von dem Yidin aner lahoir, and to cause that even that Jew should also become a source of light, a shliach von Avinu Shebashamayim, a shliach of our Father in heaven, ukipsaktin a Rambam, and as the Rambam tells us, as afapi, as the Inyan HaBechira, is an Iker Gadol. Although free choice is a very, very fundamental thing in Yiddishkeit, and Omad HaTeirah Mitzvah, it's a pillar in all of Teirah and Mitzvah, but nevertheless, is Kvarev Tichat Teirah, the Teirah assures us, regardless of what our choice will be, the Teirah assures us, Sheseif Yisrael Las is Tshuva B'Seif Galusan, that all Yidden will do Tshuva, Umiyad Hein Negalim, and we will be redeemed immediately.